On this edition of Fulton at Work, inmates against inmates at the Fulton County Jail. We'll tell you what was behind the incident and why it can be used to save lives. And Fulton County Police answer the nation's call to improve police and community relations. We will show you what they're doing. I'm Daryl Carver. We'll address that important issue next on Fulton at Work. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. I'm Daryl Carver. The Fulton County Sheriff's Office deliberately turned inmate against inmate at the Fulton County Jail, and the whole incident was caught on video. While it may sound dangerous, it was all part of an exercise that's part of a unique piece of jail training. FGTV's Sonia Chavis-Rucker has the story.
It was all a part of a firearms training exercise at the Rice Street facility. The exercises involved inmates versus inmates. Officers responding to inmates not following instructions. The jailer explained the importance of these exercises.
We can actually run scenarios, and the scenario is going to be based on incidents we either had here at the facility or incidents that occurred outside of jurisdiction or in other locations throughout the county, throughout the country. If we had an incident that was something that we need to address on as it relates to training and policy and so forth, we use these scenarios to incorporate all our training to reinforce the training and procedures and proper tactics.
The Sheriff's Office is known for its highly trained staff and high-tech tools to keep the community and the inmates safe. This is just one of the many exercises planned right here at the Fulton County Lockup. Reporting for FGTV, I'm Sonia Chavis-Rucker.
Thanks, Sonia. Lieutenant Dan Cochran is with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. And Lieutenant, first of all, thank you for being here and welcome to Fulton at Work.
Thank you, Daryl.
Now, at first glance, this seems kind of dangerous until you know that it's actually a training exercise. It's just practice. But it's not like a lot of the training that you've done before. I understand this was about some what-if scenarios that deputies may have to face, correct?
Exactly. They were all for the new, what's called the MEGIT training system. It's a video-based, scenario-based video training. It's on campus at the jail, and it's exactly that, training the officers for scenarios or incidents that could realistically occur and some that have occurred in the past, and without exposing them to the danger of training in the jail or otherwise, they get to train with the video, which exposes them to those elements as realistically as possible.
Part of that realism was mentioned earlier, which was placing willing inmates who wanted to assist with a staged incident. What was the purpose of using the actual inmates? Well,
the inmates, first of all, they were an available resource, and it makes it realistic for the officers as well as the inmates. It allows them to get to know us better and to understand what we do and why we do it. The scenarios that were created were inmates fighting, like the one that you saw in the video clip, inmates extraction from a cell, and I forget the other. But nonetheless, there were 4 videos that were done, and they'll be used in the MEGIT system.
I was going to ask that next. I mean, you did have crews shooting video of that. They're going to use this in the system. What happens next?
The videos will be transferred into the system, and officers will be scheduled for the training. And I've actually done some of the training. It is quite realistic. It is interactive with the officer. You go through shoot, no shoot scenarios. You use of force scenarios, and not just simple or not just scenarios like that, but those that require action on behalf of the officer, whether it's using less lethal force or otherwise.
Now, training is a top priority for the Sheriff's Department, obviously. It's also mandated by law, correct?
It is, that's correct. Georgia law, as well as the Georgia Constitution, requires that all officers receive basic law enforcement certification prior to being on duty. And that requires 11 weeks of training, which is 440 hours of basic law enforcement certification.
So it sounds like there's several levels of training that sheriff's deputies have to go through. Tell us about just those multiple training exercises that you have to be a part of.
The basic certification includes criminal procedure, firearms qualification, defensive tactics, Georgia law, constitutional law, and many, many other classes. And those are just a few. And that's for basic certification. Annual certification, which is ongoing for all officers every year, includes a state requirement of 20 hours. But in the sheriff's office, we do many more hours than that. Because
of the often dangerous situations that deputies find themselves in, especially inside the jail, you're talking about potentially volatile incidents. How critical is it that this training go on, not just for the jailers, but also for the officers that actually go out and serve warrants? Training is critical to the success of every call, of every incident, of everything that goes on in daily operations. Like I say, we train throughout the year, and without the training, we would not be able to provide quality services to the public. So it is absolutely crucial to the success of our mission that we train. Now, again, this year you're hosting a Citizens Academy where people will get a chance to learn more about that training and possibly use simulators themselves, correct? That's correct. In April, we will have our annual Citizens Academy, and we expose the students to all aspects of our agency. We let them be in some of our specialized training, firearms training, CPR, defensive tactics. They'll actually get to see the new system, the new video system, the Megit system that we were speaking of. They'll get to see that for the first time. And they will also tour the courthouse and tour the jail. And they will speak to all of our command staff. They'll meet the sheriff and our chief. And they'll see every aspect of what we do, what daily operations consist of for the sheriff's office. And what do you hope they take away from seeing the operations from beginning to end there? Our intent is that they get a full understanding of what we do, why we do it, because typically the public sees the things that we do and they wonder, why did we do that? Why was our response such as it was? We want to give them that understanding and help them, let them see things from our point of view and understand why we do what we do, and hopefully they carry that message back to the public and people that they know so that everyone can be aware and understand what goes on. Lieutenant Dan Cochran, very good seeing you here on FGTV, and thank you for being here. Thank you very much, Daryl. It's my pleasure. Now here's the contact information if you're interested in taking part of the Fulton County Sheriff's Citizens Academy program. When we come back, we'll find out how Fulton police are improving an already good relationship with the community they serve. Please stay with us. The nationwide call to improve the relationship between police and the communities they serve are being heard right here in Fulton County. Fulton County police officers and top brass are offering its residents a chance to meet one-on-one, not at the precinct, but rather for just a cup of coffee. FGTV's Priscilla Ortega has our story.
The Fulton County Police Department is continuing to close the gap between the community and its officers, and this latest initiative, Coffee with a Cop, is helping. As you can see, officers are in a relaxed environment where residents can come and talk one-on-one about any concerns they have. It's a chance for a comfortable conversation with police over a cup of coffee.
We appreciate them being here and being visible.
And a chance to establish good relationships with the men and women who keep them safe.
That's just for the game, but in life. No.
All across the nation, altercations between officers and residents have sparked a national dialogue about the need for better relations between police and the community. The National Coffee with a Cop initiative is a chance to do that by allowing officers to build trust with the community they serve.
they not only just come here, they come through on a daily basis. So we get to know each other. So it's a really good thing. I'm glad they're doing it.
In 2015, the United States Conference of Mayors released a report compiled by several mayors and police chiefs across the country. The report includes 6 recommendations intended to improve police and community relations. One of the first recommendations specifically calls for building police community trust. That is something Fulton police say they already have.
We've been practicing community policing here in Fulton County for a very long time under Chief Lewis Graham, who I first started under in the early mid-90s, to present day Chief Gary Stiles. Community policing has proven itself over and over again. A number of times in crime and disorder, responding to a crime and just going out and taking a report is not enough.
One resident in charge of her neighborhood watch program says her close relationship with officers have allowed her to make positive changes for her community.
Yes, because crime is everywhere. It's everywhere. But by working with the police, with them helping you put up your neighborhood watch program, showing you what to do, going to meetings, getting information, and applying it to your neighborhood, has helped tremendously.
Since community outreach events like these have been so successful, there will be similar programs in the future. Reporting from College Park, I'm Priscilla Ortega for FGTV.
Now, Corporal Maureen Smith is with the Special Services Division of the Fulton County Police Department and looking after that Coffee with a Cop initiative. First of all, thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
We mentioned that this is a nationwide initiative with police to get to know their community just a little bit better. How are these coffee breaks working so far?
So far, we've had a tremendous success. Our first one was in February, and the community just enjoyed sitting and having that cup of coffee with us and discussing some of the issues that they're having in their neighborhood. So it's been very successful. I go out into the neighborhood and help the communities with their neighborhood watches. So I'm hearing some of the dialogue about how great and successful our first one was.
And along those lines, what are you hearing from a lot of these communities around South Fulton?
Well, I'm hearing that they feel like we put ourselves in a position where we can be talked with and discuss different issues that they have. Because many times we're going to crisis calls that are not positive, calls that require us to we're not able to talk with the community. We're just answering calls. We get 30 plus calls a day, and so we're not able to do that. So we're giving time to come together with the community and create that partnership that is so needed in a police department. So we're hearing that they can't believe that we're actually doing this in their community.
It must be a lot different dealing with members of the public when you're not in those high-pressure, tense situations that you normally find yourselves in.
It can be, but Fulton County Police, our mission is to develop and nurture those partnerships within the community because we need the community. We need their input on crimes. We can't solve crimes without the community, and we can't prevent crimes without their input. So it can be hard, but doing this and having this dialogue is so helpful with the police officers and the community.
What sort of information do you want to hear about when you're sitting down with these residents over coffee?
Well, again, it's an open dialogue. There's no agenda. We just want to hear their concerns. What's going on in your community? How can we make things better for you? How can we better serve you? That's what we want to hear. We want to hear what crimes are going on. We want to hear them ask us about crime prevention and things that they can do to help us solve crime.
Now, typically at these events, who leads the discussion? Is it usually an officer that leads it, or is it the citizen that's really doing most of the talking?
Well, surprisingly, the citizen comes in and they're ready for that dialogue. They want to ask us questions. They want to know what we do and why we do the things that we do in our profession. And we also offer the Citizens Police Academy so that the citizen can come and sit with the officer, ride on a beat, see what we do, so that they'll better understand what's going on in our profession and how we're serving them.
Now, we mentioned earlier, and you kind of alluded to it just now, that this is just one of the initiatives that law enforcement agencies are using across the country following a lot of negative incidents involving communities and police departments. Fulton County traditionally has had a pretty good relationship with its communities. Is that fair to say, you think?
It's fair to say. Again, Chief Stiles is very adamant about those relationships that we need to preserve and foster within the police department. And again, we need the community. And when I'm in my neighborhood watch meetings, I stress to them that we need you all to help us solve this crime. And we always stress, if you see something, say something. If you see an officer sitting on their beat or just in a restaurant or what have you, say hello to them, stop and chat. We're there to provide that relationship, and hopefully that this particular community-based program is going to help in a great way.
Do you think there needs to be a greater emphasis nationwide on community-oriented policing? I know that was a huge buzzword a few years ago, but it's something that I know in the current climate that you're starting to hear people talk about once again, how successful it once was.
Absolutely. I do believe that we need programs like this so that the community can trust us, can see what we're doing and why we're doing some of the things that we're doing, can just have that dialogue about our professions again, and just meet us and see that we're real people, that we're people that you can sit down and have a cup of coffee with in a relaxed environment. And it helps. It helps a great deal. And we have other programs that help as well in our division.
And from what I understand, you also want to meet with more communities in this sort of forum.
Yes, absolutely.
Corporal, thank you so much for being on our program.
Thank you for having me.
Now, if you want to have coffee with a cop in your community, you can contact the Fulton County Police Special Services Division. The number you see there on your screen, area code 404-612-3001. That's 404-612-3001. And thanks for joining us for Fulton at Work, and a very special thanks to our guests today. We want to connect with you online. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Daryl Carver, and we'll see you next time.